Welcome to the Weekly Mac. Today we want to take a look into research. We have a chat with Josep Maria Llovet, one of the world's leading researchers on cancer. Màrius Serra, Tree and Nadja Grabmüller will blow our minds with their words and facts. Get ready for another edition of our Guess What quiz. Today with the comedian Marnie Manning as a guest. And many, many more things in a show crammed with surprises. Let's get the Weekly Mac started. New show in English hosted by Marcela Topor.
Hello, I hope you've had a great week. We are back again with interviews, tips, reports, our quiz and loads of content for you to practice your English. And today we highlight our interview with the doctor and researcher Josep Maria Llovet, but that will be in a while after words and facts with our collaborators Màrius Serra, Nadja Grabmüller and Tree. Welcome all.
Hi
Thank
there.
you.
Hello.
Hi.
And today Màrius comes with a special suggestion to play with something all English students are warned against. Right, Màrius? False friends?
False friends. Everybody knows what a false friend is. For instance, a Catalan speaker trying to find a bookshop and asking for a library.
Exactly.
Just because in Catalan, library is nearer to libreria, not bookshop. No? Some of them are quite funny. For instance, you've got a bad cold and you go to the chemist and say, I am constipated.
I've actually been to a Catalan who said that in London. Yeah.
If you are constipated, your travel is not on your throat, right? It's another place. We'll play about it, but we will play because we've got this book, To Dream Omelettes, which makes it like a game, not just by words, but by sentences, translating literally what we in our language say, but in English. So it must be funny to play about.
I love these games. I love idioms in general. And what about last week's guess word?
Yeah. It was, and we will give you some more minutes to think about it, it was an order given by a tennis player to his chauffeur. And it had 5 letters, this order.
How many letters?
5.
5. Oh.
An order.
No.
You've got a chauffeur?
No.
Because you are not a tennis player, that's it.
Right.
That's why.
Okay, so you still have some minutes before Màrius gives us the solution to the enigma. And now a couple of weeks ago, Nadja explained to us what pet peeves are. And this week, Nadja, you are going to talk to us about?
Well, I went to Castelldefels to assess the
nice.
Catalan sense of humor.
Okay.
Wow.
And what better way than pranks? So I pranked some people and I asked them about practical jokes.
Okay, and did you find many pranksters in Castelldefels?
Yes, I was actually surprised that some people have seriously no limits when it comes to jokes.
Let's see that.
Calling my mom and saying, okay, this is police, I have your son on jail. This is typical.
You've done that?
Yeah, of course. I think there's a lot of people that have done.
I have never done that to my mom. She wouldn't believe it. I'm a good person.
I bet she's used to it.
Yeah, I couldn't hold it like for more than 2 weeks.
Did he say 2 weeks?
Yes.
So he actually told his mother he was arrested for 2 weeks and she believed him?
Well, I guess we'll have to take his word for it. But, you know, if this impressed you, wait till you see the rest of the video.
That's more than a
Okay.
prankster.
Did he have like a boring life? You know, like-
You'll see, he has quite some good pranks. I mean, I don't know, he seems to be like the #1 prankster in Castelldefels, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I guess we'll find out soon, but let's begin with Tree, who brings us today Catalan's incredible international connections. And today's story is rather popular, although not for that less shocking. Leon Trotsky's murderer, Ramon Mercader. Who was he, Matthew?
Right, so the connection here is with Mexico, in fact, because that's where Leon Trotsky went into exile. Ramon Mercader was born in the Sagrada Familia district of Barcelona in 1914. His dad owned a big textile factory in Badalona, but his dad and his mum separated, and his mum took him to France, and she became an absolutely convinced communist, a Stalinist communist, and he did as well as he grew up with her. They both fought in the Civil War in Spain. They got wounded, taken to Madrid, and there they were recruited by the NKVD, the Soviet Secret Service, later better known as the KGB. Okay, so we leave Ramon Mercader there. Trotsky's in Mexico, 1940, and funnily enough, Stalin hates him. Stalin wants to kill him. And the first thing he does is he asks another Catalan to kill him. Antonio Pujol gets a group of 20 armed men and attacks the house where Trotsky is living. They've all got guns and they don't kill anybody. They don't do any damage at all. And it doesn't work. So then the NKVD go to this agent they've been now training called Ramon Mercader. And in France, Ramon Mercader learned perfect French and perfect English. So they say, okay, you're going to be disguised as a Belgian, speaking French, no Spanish, obviously no Catalan. You go to Paris and you get to know the Trotskyists in Paris because they know Trotsky in Mexico. So he falls in love with a Trotskyist woman in Paris, pretending that he's Jacques Mornard, a Belgian who speaks French. He travels with this woman to Mexico, and for various reasons in Mexico he has to change his identity again. So he becomes Frank Jackson, an American, speaks perfect American English,
Incredible.
Gets to know Trotsky as this American, young American, and says to Trotsky that he's really interested in communism, and says, look, I've been writing a text about you, and I'd like you to check it in English, all this in English. So Trotsky checks his text, and while Trotsky is looking at this text, Frank Jackson takes out an ice pick from his pocket.
An ice pick.
An ice pick.
It seems like Agatha Christie's novel.
that the NKVD have given him, takes it out of his pocket, drives it in Trotsky's skull, but Trotsky doesn't die. He yells out, so his bodyguards almost kill Ramon Mercader, Frank Jackson. Frank Jackson goes to hospital, Trotsky goes to hospital, they go to the same hospital in Mexico City. Trotsky dies, but Frank Jackson stays alive. And the Mexican authorities, they know that Frank Jackson isn't his real name, so they investigate and discover, oh no, he's a Belgian called Jacques Mornard who speaks French. But then again, they're not quite sure about this. Any idea how they finally discovered who
he was?
He really was.
His real identity.
No, it wasn't the woman. It wasn't the woman. No, it was
no idea.
Something he ate?
Nothing. No. Butifarra.
He, I don't know.
Bread with tomato or something.
He said something in his sleep in Catalan.
For instance, collons.
No, but it's to do with language, because what the Mexican authorities did, they got the #1 detective in Mexico, a man called Antonio Quiroz, who was a legendary figure. And Quiroz started investigating this Jacques Mornard, who was in prison. This is 20 years he was in prison. And the Mexican detective investigated and investigated. He discovered that Jacques Mornard spoke perfect Spanish, something that Jacques Mornard had said he didn't. But this Mexican detective still wasn't happy. He knew that this guy was not really Belgian. So he started looking at the way he wrote French. And he discovered that in the way he wrote French, there were expressions which could be Catalan or Occitan. So he said, this guy comes from Catalonia or maybe from southern France. And after several years, without really discovering who he was, the detective got so frustrated that he got a photograph of Ramon Mercader. He went to Barcelona.
To all the bars.
You
know this man?
He showed the photographs to people who had been alive in the Civil War, when communist people. And they said, oh yes, it's Ramon. And they recognized Ramon Mercader after 20 years in jail, pretending to be somebody else.
That's lucky, though. But how did he pick Barcelona out of all the places?
Because he was pretty sure from the linguistic thing, from the way that this Belgian wrote French, that he was a Catalan, because he used these
false friends,
perhaps.
Some false friends.
And so he reckoned, okay, Barcelona is the capital of Catalonia. I'll go to Barcelona first.
So this sounds like a film, really. It's a fascinating story.
We haven't got time to finish the story because it's even more amazing how he ends up.
It's a series, not just
maybe it's just enough to say he ended up in Moscow with a Mexican wife And in Moscow, he was given a completely different name and was buried under a completely different name. And it was only after the fall of communism that at the bottom of his grave they put Ramon Mercader, born in Barcelona, 1914.
Wow. And did he
Amazing.
speak Russian as well at the end of
He
his
must
life?
have spoke, yes, for
Oh.
sure, he spoke Russian.
He was a genius, this guy, right?
He was an amazing guy, yeah.
Except for the murder.
Except for the
Except for
happened to be a murderer,
He
yeah.
was good with languages, this is what I meant.
Yeah,
Anyway, Matthew, looks like sometimes facts are stranger than fiction.
In this case, for sure.
Fascinating story. Okay, well, anyway, I think after such a dark story, we need a bit of good comedy. And in this show, comedy has a name, and that is The Giggles.
Strange watching movies here in Spain. Being from the United States, I'm not used to seeing them in Spanish, right? Watched Lord of the Rings, which in English is amazing. You have Gandalf the Grey, he's battling a dragon named Smaug. He throws his staff down and he says, "You shall not pass." In Spanish, completely different. Gandalf throws his staff down and says, "No pasa nada."
Some interviews are interesting, some are fun, and some are necessary, like the one with cancer researcher Josep Maria Llovet. Stay tuned.
And we are back with Nadia, who's come today to enlighten us about practical jokes. So please do so, Nadia.
Well, I'd like to ask you guys, do you like to prank people?
Not me.
Well,
No,
maybe when I was a little girl.
What did you do?
Well, you know, like innocent stuff.
Yeah,
Nothing very
come on.
serious, you know, like
Like
the
what?
typical
Phoning
stuff.
someone. Are you there?
But I don't believe that you guys never played any
When
pranks when you were younger. Come on.
Come on, come on.
Well, once I told my girlfriend that our cat had died because it committed suicide by jumping off the balcony, and I said it very seriously, and she got very upset.
And it was not true.
It
was not true.
didn't, you know, so it's a joke, it's a joke, but it went, you know, it wasn't very funny.
So that was the first and last time?
No, I was in my early 40s.
Anyway, Nadia, what did you ask people in Castelldefels about? And more importantly, what did you do to them?
Well, so I asked them what kind of pranks they've played. Thankfully, I got more answers than from you guys. And also if they've been the victims of any pranks. And then, but of course, you know, scientific research wouldn't be complete without any empirical data. So I took it upon myself to also prank people to see what works and what doesn't.
Okay, shall we have a look at that?
Yes.
Okay, let's do so.
Today's topic is about pranks. So I'm gonna try to prank some people. One of the prank items I have is a fake 20-euro bill. I'm gonna place it on the floor and I'm gonna see if people fall for it. And on the back, they will be disappointed because clearly it's not real money. It says, "Ha ha ha, the joke's on you." So let's see if it works. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
The next prank item is this little device.
Oh.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Tell me about the best prank you've ever done to somebody.
Everyone naked into the room, acting as normal, like nothing is happening. So like the guy or the girl that is coming onto the room is, what it is happening? It has to be normal?
Seriously, she just ran over it. Well, I guess people don't like money here. Nice to meet you.
A friend took a piece of shit from his ass. He decided to stick it in my agenda. I feel that that was smelling really bad. So I opened the agenda. It was really nasty, yeah.
Like it?
Oh yeah, sure.
What fact?
Wow, why do I feel wet and cold? Oh, crap. Ah, okay. Well, I guess that's a prank gone wrong. They say karma is only a bitch if you are.
One friend who falls asleep in a party and then you paint his face.
With a penis?
I wasn't about to say it, but yes.
Yes?
All right.
Seriously? Come on. People are blind. Oh, wait. What? I guess people don't need money. Have you ever done any pranks that went wrong, like that completely backfired or didn't work out?
Then you really didn't plan it properly.
I see you're like you're the prank master here. All right. It's like throwing pearls in front of swine. Take the money. There's one more on the money pigeon. Well done.
A good friend of mine who did a prank and went really wrong. He was with his girlfriend. You go to bed, she's coming late, and then you swap yourself with a friend or so, stay in bed. She was cheating with this friend. The girl was freaking out, like, what the hell are you doing here? And so, and then the guy appeared, and then I don't know how it was. The conversation went wrong, and she explained that she was cheating with him.
The friend couldn't have thought about that?
If I do something that relates me with her, maybe it takes him away from thinking that I could have something with her, you know?
Interesting strategy. Did you see that pigeon? It kept coming back. It's like, it's mine now. I've heard some really amazing pranks today. Catalans, I have to say, I'm very impressed, and I will make sure to pass on your jokes to the Germans, because they could use some help.
Wow, absolutely blown away by some pranks, Nadia.
Yeah, if I may say so, all these people are sociopaths. I mean, there's something wrong with them, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one thing that surprised me was like, I've always heard Catalans like money, but
no.
I guess, I'll have to refute that theory because nobody bothered to bend down for 20 euros. So my question is, would you guys have taken the money?
Of course. Like the pigeon.
And what was with that bill anyway? What was the prank?
Well, they were supposed to take it and then discover when you turn it around
that it's false.
It's a fake bill.
It's a fake.
Or we also wanted to see if somebody would look for the owner or if they would take it. But nobody saw it, so...
That should be shown on Spanish television, because in Spain, it's like with the English with Scotland. They always say the Catalans are always after money and money grabbing and money grubbing and everything.
I think next time you have to try with a bigger note, like 200 euros, for instance. Try that, maybe it works.
Okay, any more questions about pranks?
Well, yeah, sure. So, I mean, since you saw the guy with the girlfriend, I was wondering if you can remember any, funny pranks like that or pranks that went wrong?
For April Fool's Day, it was usually the television stations and the newspapers that make jokes. Like the BBC did a famous program where they talk seriously on the news. They talked about the spaghetti harvest in Italy, and they showed all these Italians climbing up ladders and picking spaghetti off trees. And a lot of people took it seriously because this was the end of the 50s, and a lot of people really didn't know how spaghetti was made. So
British humor.
British humor, yeah.
Well, here this kind of jokes is typical for the 28th of December, Màrius?
Yeah, it's what we call a lufa, which it consists on just sticking something on your back so that everybody
paper,
can.
Right?
Yeah, like
a little paper man, no? Isn't
man,
it typically?
yeah, sometimes, but it's a childish sort of game that everybody can say it, but you can't because it's on your back.
Okay, well, we are having quite a good time today with pranks, but fun's not over, far from it actually, and I got the feeling that Màrius has brought some funny games for us.
Yeah, we're talking about those false friends like Ramon Mercader writing in French. For instance, some English words that's usual when you study are suitable to be misused. Deception doesn't mean it's not a disappointment. And for a Catalan speaker, maybe it can be confused. To be embarrassed is not to be pregnant, right? Commodity is not comfort. Okay, but if we take this to Dream Omelets, which is a book that it's a game,
Nice
as
name.
well. It can make us play a bit with these sort of idioms that are translated literally into English. For instance, and we can play because Nadia doesn't speak Catalan, do you?
No.
So,
Not yet.
but you do. So I can ask you what do you think can
Okay.
be to dream omelets? What does it suggest?
Daydream, maybe? Daydreaming?
Daydream.
Daydreaming? More than daydreaming?
Maybe if somebody is hungry?
No, definitely no. It's about fantasy. If someone is very idealist or maybe has a chimeric plans, he is dreaming omelets in Catalan, not in English.
Like having impossible dreams, no?
That's it. Another one, the procession goes by inside.
The procession?
Goes by inside.
La processó va,
Va
per
per
dintre.
dins.
Va per dins.
Va per dins o per dintre.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
You know,
I know, yeah.
but can you just have a...
It comes from the inside, maybe? Something like that?
So it means that you are suffering, but in silence.
Oh,
Right.
nice.
Not showing your feelings.
Yeah.
Another
Okay.
one, which is very fantastic, to be happier than some Easters.
Some Easters?
Yeah, you know Easter egg?
Yeah?
That's it. Easter's the party.
In Catalan, feliç com unes Pasques.
That's it. That's it.
Okay.
So to be really happy.
Very happy as a clam. How would you say in English?
Happy as a sandboy.
As a sandboy?
As a sandboy, meaning a
sandboy.
little boy playing in
Playing in
the
the
sand.
sand.
Happy as a sandboy.
Nice
is the
one.
expression.
Yeah. We've got here some dice, so
All right.
we can play with this book, to Dream Omelets. We've got a dice here because this has got a structure of a game book. Here, any single page has got those dice. For instance, this is 5-4 with 2 ovaries, it says, because it's about sex. And then if you just throw the dice, you've got the page, and then you, Nadia, will throw again another one to have one of these idioms. For instance, this is a house of hats. Això és una casa de barrets. Okay, so let's start, please.
Okay.
I'll just throw these.
You
gently.
throw and show.
Throw and show.
Throw and show.
Okay,
That's the idea.
throw and show. That's 5
That's
and a
another
1.
idiom.
5 and 1. Okay, so I've got the page, and now Nadia, please, if you can throw and show again. 4-1.
4 and a 1.
Okay,
Okay.
4-1 is. This is a lie like a farmhouse.
A lie?
A lie.
As in like telling a lie?
Yeah.
Okay. Una
So, huge
mentida com una casa de pagès.
Casa de pagès. So
Meaning that it's a...
Huge lie?
a very huge
Exactly.
lie. That's
Correct.
it.
That was easy. It was
Can we
easy.
try again, please?
Sure.
For the page. This is
2
2-1
and
this
1.
time. Okay, I've got it. And now, Matthew, your turn to say which is the idiom. If you can throw again
Yeah.
the dice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, that's 6 and a 2.
6
and
2.
a 2.
It's got here 6-2. To have the fly on your nose. To have the fly on your nose.
Which in Catalan would be tenir la mosca al nas.
Tenir la mosca al nas. That's it.
Something that's obvious, maybe?
Not obvious.
again.
Not obvious.
Something annoying?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Very
to
good.
be in very bad
Nice.
mood.
Exactly.
It's annoying for me, so I'm in bad mood. There are lots of them.
Okay, yeah.
Any language has got its own idioms because it's that's the tradition of a language. But sometimes are obvious, sometimes not.
I'm afraid our time for words and facts is running out. And as always, let's finish with the guess word, Màrius.
We've got that one of the chauffeur that was so interesting for Matthew. Another given by a tennis player to his chauffeur. The straight answer was drive, because a tennis player makes drive and just telling to the chauffeur what to do. But there was another one possible, which was break. Right? Because when you play tennis, you can break the serve, and the breaks make stop.
Yeah, what is to break the serve? I don't know that one.
Yeah, when you are serving, you are supposed to win that game.
Okay.
But if your opponent wins it, he's breaking your serve.
Okay.
Right? That's a break. But in this case, it's homophonic, but you can write it differently. Break.
Yes, exactly.
When you stop. The best one was the first, because I didn't say the driver. I said the chauffeur. That was a hint to try.
For me, it was
tricky.
the 5 letters that got me, because I thought what he said was love.
Love! The chauffeur? Yeah. My God.
Okay, well, anyway, a special congratulations if you managed to guess both answers. But Marius, for next week, we need more.
I hope with just one answer this time.
Easier this time.
You've got them at hand to board some planes. 7 letters. You've got them at hand to board some planes. 7 letters.
Okay, once you crack it, you can post the solution and share it with your friends on the social networks, and you can already start thinking on the solution. Well, it's time to say goodbye. Matthew, Marius, Nadia, thank you so much for coming. Until next time. And we'll be right back with a very special guest, the world expert in liver cancer research, Dr. Josep Maria Llovet. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Today we have the honor to have with us one of the most influential medical scientists in the field of cancer worldwide. He is a Catalan and has many interesting things to say, but first pay attention to the following glossary.
Dr. Josep Maria Llovet is a well-renowned scientist, researcher, and also a physician. In formal American English, a physician is a doctor. Dr. Llovet's teams have published lots of papers. Paper is not only a material that you write on or rub things with. It has many other meanings, and a paper is also a long, formal piece of writing about an academic subject. Essays, articles, or studies usually published in science journals. When talking about treatments of liver cancer, one of the most common ones is the ablation. It is a surgical removal of an organ, structure, or part, in this case, part of the liver. And last but not least, you'll also listen to the word surveillance, which is the close observation or supervision maintained over a person or group. In medicine, it's the continuous systematic collection, analysis, and interpretation of health-related data.
It goes without saying, cancer is probably the most concerning group of diseases for humans, both for its pervasive presence and its high rate of mortality. But it's also true that medical science is making huge progress in finding more and more treatments. And today we are lucky to talk with an outstanding scientist, MD, PhD, who leads research about liver cancer in Barcelona and New York, Dr. Josep Maria Llovet. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Well, you're professor of research by ICREA,
That's
the
right.
Institució Catalana de Recerca i Estudis Avançats, at IDIBAPS,
Yes.
Institut d'Investigacions Biomèdiques August Pi Sunyer, which belongs to Hospital Clínic.
That's right.
At the same time, you are director of the Liver Cancer Program and full professor of medicine at the Mount Sinai School of Medicine, New York.
That's right.
I hope I said all that correctly.
Perfectly, perfectly. I'm
Well,
traveling back and forth for the last 15 years. So.
It's quite impressive.
Yeah, well, I have 2 lives. We moved with my family in 2003 for 3 years, and then I created the liver cancer program there. It took me 2 years and a half. We got grants, we got a lot of funding, attention, we got good publications. As a result of that, nowadays is the only liver cancer program recognized by the NCI, the National Cancer Institute. So it's the only program in the US. So we have been quite successful in that regard. And then here I keep also my lab in Barcelona, and we are also very productive, as you know. And also my family, of course, is here. I'm very Catalan.
So you came back from the States?
We decided to came back because, I mean, in fact, we were missing a lot the country. And also my wife has a very good position in the government. So we decided to move back, but they were very intense in offering me all types of positions, different honorarium, attractive honorarium, and other issues to keep me there 100% of the time. So they were a bit disappointed that at the end I was moving back to Barcelona. So they offered me a part-time position, and I accept that. I thought, this is very interesting. This can be done now, because with the internet and the connections, you can have a team in New York, a team in Barcelona. I'm flying now every month, 1 week there, 3 weeks here, and it works well.
How does it feel to get to this level of influence? Because you are the most influential, one of the most influential scientists, and your team is the best hepatic oncology team in the world. How does it feel to reach this level, and which are the keys to get here?
Well, it's a very complex question. The first thing is very rewarding. So, because you are shaping the field globally, this means that if you are able to add a new advancement in the management of the disease, it's not only the patients that you are visiting that you are providing a benefit to these patients, but you are providing a benefit to hundreds of patients globally.
Of course.
So, with for instance, the 2008, we got the approval of the first systemic drug for liver cancer, sorafenib. We calculate that we were impacting 100,000 individuals globally every year, and this is very rewarding.
So what was the key?
The key of the effort, I would say that the key of the effort is 2 or 3-fold. First of all, I mean, you have to have some talent. You have to understand a bit the ins and outs of the disease. You have to understand not only clinically, because from the clinical side, you identify the questions, and sometimes you have to go to the lab in order to figure out some answers and come back to the patient. But also, I think you need hard work. It's very important. So I haven't seen any physician scientist at that level that is not a hard worker. So you need to work a lot. The third piece that is very important, I would say, is the environment. So for science, you are not working isolated. So you are working with a team, and you are working in a given institution. So Hospital Clínic d'Ibabs, on one hand, it's a very good environment for research, and Mount Sinai in New York is a very good environment as well.
You were saying before that this wouldn't have been possible without the internet, right?
That's right. I mean, so in order to...
Because you need to be in constant communication.
Constant communication, constantly we're submitting grants, abstract, papers. We have lab meetings sometimes through Skype or telecons, and then I put together the lab group in New York, lab group in Barcelona. We have an agenda, and then we're addressing all the concepts, and the two teams interact by phone or by Skype. We have the slides, so this is only possible with internet. Despite that, I have to mention that if there is any relevant or important problem, sometimes you need to fix it physically.
To be there physically.
You have to be there physically, and that's why I think it's good.
You have devoted the past 25 years of your career to liver cancer.
That's right.
Why liver cancer? How you decided to be specialized in this?
So I am a gastroenterologist and hepatologist by training. And within this specialty, you have gastroenterology, you have hepatology, and you have endoscopy. I decided to do hepatology. And then within hepatology, the most promising area and exciting for me was cancer. And at the time that I started that in 1994, certainly, for instance, we did not have treatments for the majority of patients. We only had resection and transplantation and local ablation for patients, but for patients at intermediate advanced stage, there was not so much hope for these patients. So there was a long way to go, and I thought this is very exciting. Also, there is, in terms of research in oncology, intellectually is very exciting and very rewarding and with a huge impact in the society.
What about the advances in these 25 years, and what about mortality at the moment?
So liver cancer is quite unknown, let's say, in the West. I mean, it's the 6th most common cancer globally and the 4th cause of cancer-related death. So we have 1 million cases by 2025, it is estimated, globally, new cases. And most of the cases occur in Southeast Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. That's why it's not pretty well known as the other cancers here, colon cancer, lung cancer, breast cancer. So the most important advancements that we have had during these years are, A, we have been able to identify the tumors at early detection through surveillance programs with ultrasound in cirrhotic patients that represent 1% of the population. B, we have refined the treatments already known, resection, transplant, and local ablation. We know exactly the patients that respond to that. C, we introduce a new treatment, chemoembolization, for patients at intermediate. D, at advanced stages, from the time we start, there was no single treatment. Now we have 6 treatments for these patients, 6 drugs that are effective. This has been a revolution. Molecular target therapies and immunotherapies, very important.
Which are the chances of survival in this case?
Yes, so in terms of overall survival, at early stages, if we apply this potentially curative treatment, resection, transplant, local ablation, the median survival is beyond 6 years. At intermediate stage with chemoembolization is 30 months, close to 3 years. And at advanced stages, the natural history is 6-8 months, and we're moving now to 16-17 months.
Can it be cured?
Yes, so the liver cancer is cured in 30% of the patients. And then more and more we're seeing chances of cure even at advanced stages of the disease. So with the new drugs, even 3 to 5% of the patients are completely cured, and others achieve outstanding responses.
And in terms of the causes of this cancer, do you think that we tend to underestimate the effects of alcohol consumption?
Yeah, so this is a very tough cancer in terms of treatment, but it's one of the cancers that we know almost all the causes of the disease. Number 1 is hepatitis B virus infection. Number 2 is hepatitis C virus infection. With hepatitis C virus infection, there has been a revolution. In the last 10 years, we are now able to cure 98% of the patients. Has been a huge revolution. So, and this will disappear as a cause of cancers in the next 10 years globally. Then we have alcohol. That's very good. No, it has been, certainly in the world of hepatology, has been probably the most important revolution in terms of treatment for the last 5 decades. So we are able to cure hepatitis C. And this is removing the cause of 30% of liver cancers globally.
And you mentioned alcohol before?
Then alcohol is the third cause. This is there, and it's very difficult at this point to decrease that. It has a huge impact globally. It's not any particular country. Globally, a huge impact. Represents 20% of the cases of liver cancer are related to alcohol. And then another cause that is emerging and is very important is non-alcoholic steatohepatitis as a result of obesity, overweight. And diabetes.
I'd like to ask you about cancer in general, not just liver cancer. Another Catalan cancer researcher, your colleague Manel Estaller, he suggested that in 10 years' time, cancer could become a chronic disease. So do you agree with this? Are we prepared to assume that we'll have to live with cancer? Like a lot of people, 80% of the population will suffer a cancer sooner or later, but to which extent will they be cured?
Well, I almost always agree with Manel. He's a bit optimistic sometimes, I have to say. At this point, we cure around 50% of the cancers globally, all types. And then for the others, the trend is precisely what he's mentioning. It will become a chronic disease. The time span between now and when this is happening, we don't know. I would say within 20 years, eventually.
20 years.
Yeah, the other 50% may become actually chronic diseases that, like AIDS, that you can, by taking drugs chronically, you are able to control that. I think eventually this may be the time frame.
Mm-hmm. What's the importance of translational medicine in liver cancer treatment?
I think that translational medicine in reality is, first of all, the concept. The concept is, we have physicians that are visiting patients on one hand, and on the other hand, we have basic scientists in the lab, isolated. So translational medicine is is the science that tries to link physicians and scientists in order to answer the question in the bedside through the analysis and the studies we're doing in the bench. So the question always comes from the patient. So what we can do in this situation that we don't have a treatment for this patient. Then we're taking, for instance, samples of the tumors. We're analyzing the tumors in the lab. We're doing genomics. We're doing experimental studies with new drugs and then translating that to the patient.
Right.
This is what is translational medicine.
In simple words, would that mean like personalized treatment for patients?
Yes, so personalized medicine and personalized oncology is the consequence of translational medicine.
Okay.
When we discover a specific treatment for a subgroup of patients.
I see.
This is precision medicine, precision oncology.
Excellent. There is so much to talk about cancer, but we would also like to look into the differences between the United States and Europe when it comes to research, but just after this language tip. We'll be back.
Hi, how do we ask for permission in English? Obviously, the fastest way is by saying, can I? Then it's more polite to say, could I or may I? For example, may I leave earlier today? Now, if we have an unusual request, it feels like we need to use a longer phrase. For example, do you mind? Or would you mind? Do you mind if I leave earlier today? Would you mind if I left earlier today? Remember, we use the past simple with would. Would you mind if I left earlier today? So, do you mind or would you mind? Put them into practice.
We have been talking about cancer with the doctor and researcher Josep Maria Llovet, who works both in Barcelona and New York. And now let's welcome our collaborator Olga Vallejo, who's joined us to talk about research on both sides of the pond. Olga,
Hi.
right?
Yes. Today I would like to know the most unknown side of scientists and discover if the research is made the same anywhere in the world. Professor Llovet, you have a double position as a career research professor at IDIBABS and as a director of liver cancer program at Mount Sinai in New York, you mentioned before.
Yes.
Thinking about resources, you told something.
Well, I mean, the world is completely different here and there. So first of all, just to give you an idea, when I arrived there, the School of Medicine was Mount Sinai School of Medicine, and nowadays it has changed the name. And at one time point, I said, okay, so why is now Icahn School of Medicine at New York? It's because Mr. Icahn gave a donation of 200 million. So with 200 million, they changed the name of the school. There is no problem. No? So there is a lot of philanthropy. Our Institute of Cancer is Tisch Cancer Institute as a result of 40 million donation. When I started, the first thing they told me, okay, you have to go to meet Professor Waxman. I said, okay, why should I meet Professor Waxman? Is he interested in liver cancer? He's interested in liver cancer, but he has a foundation. So I meet Mr. Waxman, he's a physician, and after 1 hour, he was excited about my project and signed a check of 125,000. So this is the philanthropy that is very difficult to find here. This is one thing. The other thing is that NIH, that is the government body to provide funding for research, is extremely wealthy. So they are funding a lot of projects throughout the US, and this is also very different what's happening. Here, luckily enough, the fundings from the European Commission are helping a lot to researchers, because there are fundings from the Spanish government, also now from the Catalan government, but particularly the fundings from the European Commission helps also to find the balance.
We are going to talk about science here, because this June the Nature magazine published an article that showed the small investment in science in Spain, but it's nothing new. Europe invests 22% more in science than before the crisis, while Spain invests almost 6% less. I imagine that it's easier to make science in the US than here?
First of all, I would say it's easier for three reasons. The resources not only depends on the government, but on philanthropy. Second, as I mentioned before, the environment is very important. There are so many centers with capacities, with technology, that are at the frontier of knowledge, forefront of research. Here, there are only few centers that are in front line, they are in Champions League, right? And the percentage, as we mentioned, of investment in research is significantly higher there than here.
It is a fact that science in Spain is underfunded. Only 1.2% of gross domestic product, our PIB, is invested in science. Then how is it possible to attract talent, national and international talent here, when insufficient resources are not a secret?
I think that Generalitat de Catalunya had an outstanding initiative with ICREA project. And this was when Conseller Mas-Colell was leading that. And they decided, okay, we have not so much money, so what's the most important thing in science and research? The investigators. So let's hire good or outstanding investigators. And if you bring a very good or outstanding investigator, behind him you will have good staff, you will have attraction of resources, and you have good science. So and nowadays, for every ICREA professor, every ICREA professor has created 10 jobs on his own, without any other help. So you attract an ICREA professor, you have 10 jobs. 1/3 of the ERC fundings, the European fundings that come to Spain, come to an ICREA professor. 1/3. And there is only 200 of us, compared to the thousands of scientists in Spain. So this program is very important, and now the Basque Country has copied this initiative. And it's a very clever initiative, I would say.
Despite insufficient resources, Catalonia produces 1.3% of scientific papers, with 0.1% of the world population, and 39% of these papers are published in magazines with high scientific score, and some, only a few, but some Catalan research centers occupying the first world leading on their areas.
That's right.
Apart from ICREA's, the ICREA program, how can you explain that?
Well,
that's quite a lot, no?
What's that?
It's quite a lot.
It's quite a lot,
It's not
yes.
bad at all.
Well, because in Barcelona we have a biomedical hub. This is very important. And it's not as a result of the ICREA program. The ICREA program has helped a lot, but the hub is mostly in biomedicine and is based on the good hospitals that we have here for, decades. So we have at least 5-6 hospitals in the city that are competitive globally. And also there was an initiative 10 years ago, 15 years ago, to create new research centers. CRG, IRB, ICFO, all these centers are very potent. So we have a hub in the southern Europe, where probably the most potent area. Throughout Europe, there are 3 or 4 areas that are ahead of us, including London, Paris, and we're competing with Munich at this point. But we are in this situation. We're in a very potent situation, I would say, throughout Europe.
Olga, I think we have time for one more question.
Okay, then the last one is about the perception, the social perception of the value of the science. Does it change depending on the country or the culture?
Well, I would say, I mean, in the US, I mean, if you are a physician there, you are already a rich person, and this is not happening here. But I would say that the understanding of science in Catalonia has improved a lot, and nowadays there is much more visibility to the achievements, and the perception of the society is that this is a need, and also at the end there will be implications for the actual patients, and I think it's much more recognized now than 10 years ago.
That's good.
Dr. Llovet, this has been a really interesting. We learned a lot today about liver cancer and cancer in general. We hope that, well, you gave us optimism as well, because it looks like we are going in the right direction.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, in oncology has been a revolution with the new drugs and also with the understanding of the genomics in cancer. And I think that this will improve a lot the management of the patients for the next 20 years.
Excellent. Well, now we need to conclude here, and we always like to finish our interview with the question chain, which is a question for you, Dr. Llovet, from our last week's guest, in this case, the cinema director Isaki La Cuesta, and this is his question for you.
Hi, I'm Isaki La Cuesta, filmmaker, and my question to you is, if somebody gives you the chance of making a movie, where would you like to film it, and about what?
Wow. So I have to disclose, first of all, that I love movies. Francis Ford Coppola is one of my favorite directors, Woody Allen as well. I would say that the movie can be shot both in New York and Barcelona, I would say, that could be. And then a mafia movie would be interesting. I love The Padrino, I like it very much.
And now The Irishman, right?
I saw that. You like it? I mean, I like it very much. Well, it's a very good movie. It's a very good movie.
Well, excellent, Dr. Llovet. Thank you so much for coming today. And we know you don't have a lot of free time, so we appreciate that you came here and shared your time with us even more. And Olga, thank you, and until next time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And now we'll take a short break, but we'll be right back with many other stories. We'll discover a new indie rock band, a love story, language tips, book recommendations, games, and much more, so stay tuned.
Vanessa Salvi, half Italian, half Norwegian, and the leader of Terrorist Top Romance. Sounds good? Yes, she does. So you better stick around.
It talks me of you.
Welcome back. A barbecue with friends was the beginning of the story between Christopher from Sweden and Mireia. They had a long-distance relationship for a while until they moved together. And after living in Stockholm and Bali, they settled in Barcelona, and now they live happily here with their 2-year-old son called Joy.
Hello, my name is Mireia. I'm from Manresa, Barcelona.
And my name is Christopher, and I come from Sweden.
Yes, and we have been together for 7 years now.
The first time we met, it's actually 8 years ago in a barbecue. It was a friend who was throwing a party, and basically we have friends in common, and that was the first time we met.
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess like I was a bit more after Mireia. I was trying to meet up with her. We met a few times.
We dated.
Yeah, we dated a few times, but we went like very long between each time we met. And then I think basically it was almost 8-9 months later when I told Mireia I was actually leaving Barcelona and I was going back to Sweden. And then I think you got a little bit more interested.
Yeah, and then I felt like, why is he leaving, no? So then I got more interested and then we started dating more like,
intensely.
More intensely, exactly. And then he left to Sweden and then I was working here in Catalonia. And then after 1 year in a distant relationship, as going to Sweden and Barcelona every 15 days, I moved to Sweden.
Especially after being together with Mireia, we actually lived 1 year outside of Barcelona in San Vicente Castellet, which is next to Manresa. And living there and living close with your family, seeing how you celebrate different festivities, what are your specialities, and of course the language and so on, made me see, it's how different they are maybe from the stereotypes sometimes we have of Spain in general.
We adopted a lot of traditions, because you are also half Polish. So we have some traditions from Poland as well. Yeah, I don't know, we like to celebrate a lot the castañada, for example. You like the castañada, no?
Yeah.
We like a lot...
The cagatillo, we do it.
The cagatillo.
Especially now we have kids.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know. Yeah, I think we do a big mix of things. So exactly. I think, and especially around Christmas.
Then we celebrate Midsummer in Sweden, and we love it.
Yeah, exactly. From the Swedish
It's
traditions.
super beautiful, yeah, with all the flower crowns. The seal. I'm not a big fan of the seal.
And the caviar.
And the caviar, these like sticks. You can explain this.
Oh, it's a tube. It's like it has some kind of it's strange.
That I got not used to it.
Since I'm vegetarian nowadays, it's like all the jamon and everything that just comes out all the time. It's I usually stay away from that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe all the meat, no?
Yeah, exactly. And you still you're eating more vegetarian, but you say like I can't renounce the jamon. Like it's like.
Okay, let's see. What do you say? Take the first person.
Yeah, that's good.
To Bali.
Yeah. The island is the Bali.
Yeah, I put the life on an island. Yes, in a beautiful house in front of the beach. Yeah, it's quite similar. And the business class, if it's possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, let me think.
It's not that complicated, I think. You have to think silly song just.
It's just cheesy.
Yeah, but my answer is not really. You can turn around.
Sounds what?
If you ask me something, of course. It's these Catalan kids songs.
Oh, yeah,
I always thought they were very funny.
Okay. We know that. We remember this.
I remember.
And we went to skate with like a tapas in some bar in my town. And I don't know why I felt the sensation of telling him I love you, no? And we were just like at the beginning, no? And I say like, yeah, I love you. And he was just like silence.
He was like shocked.
He was shocked. So he's Swedish, no? He was just like what should I say, here?
Yeah, exactly. Felt like, saying I love you is like a big step. So when I'm gonna do that, I have to think it through. I don't know. And I was like, definitely not just going with the flow, let's say. And when you said it, for me, it was more like, how do I handle this situation? It was not in my plan, Everything had to be planned.
In our last tip a while ago, I suggested a couple of ways to ask permission. Now you might be the one who has to give permission. Then you can say, sure, go ahead. Or even, oh please, do you mind if I open the window? Please, go ahead. Now, if you want to refuse the permission, make sure you're polite and include the phrase, I'm afraid, or sorry. Can we smoke in here? I'm afraid not. Sorry, but you're not permitted to do that. So, sure, go ahead, or I'm afraid not. Up to you. See you.
Terrorists of Romance is the name that Vanessa Salvi, an Italian-Norwegian songwriter and visual artist, gave to her music project. She has just released her first album called After You Left, and we wanted to invite her to talk to us about it. Vanessa, welcome in the first place.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, After You Left, this is the name of your project. What is it about? Why this name?
Well, After You Left actually is a pretty personal thing because I started writing a long time ago, and then when my father passed away about 10 years ago, I started writing a lot more and I started composing. And basically everything I write about my own experiences, about things that I read, and I feel like I'm actually telling him what's going on.
Okay.
Because he was also my best friend, so I used to tell him everything. And so After You Left is about telling him some stories. I mean, I composed many more songs than what are in the album, but the producer, he chose these 11 songs. So.
Okay. So writing in this case was a kind of therapy for you, or is therapy. It helps you a lot, no?
Yeah.
To what?
I think especially not to explode in my daily life. I'm very yeah. You know, I think also the city makes you more vulnerable to stress, to everything, and people just shout at each other. And so yeah, instead of shouting, I go home and I write a song.
Okay.
Yeah.
So writing helps you to go through the day, no?
Yeah.
And not get to stress, to deal with stress in this case. Why did you wait 10 years after your father died to do this project?
Because I've always been doing a lot of projects, and actually before I used to do circus, the aerial dance. And so I was in that project. Then I started a contemporary art foundation here in Barcelona, so I went into that project.
Is it called the Blue Project Foundation?
Yeah.
What is it about, and what makes blue so important?
Well, it's about helping artists, visual artists, performing artists, and any artist to show their work. And we have 2 rooms, and in one it's for more, let's say, the most known artists. And in the Sala project, in the front one, it's for the younger artists.
Okay.
So to see the known artists, you have to pass by the young artists.
I see.
Yeah.
Terrorists of Romance, which is the title of your project, also the title of a song that you wrote a while ago. What is it about? Why this name? This is how you see yourselves in the project?
Not really. I'm actually quite romantic. But actually it's a long story, because I used to live in Boston when the 9/11 happened. So I started getting a bit, there were some things that happened to me in a plane and in the metro, and I started getting a bit nervous about terrorists. And after that, I said, okay, I have to give a change to this, you know, like appropriate the word terrorist and give it another meaning, you know. So I thought about how people usually sabotage their relationships in many ways, because I have many friends that come to me and say, this happened with my boyfriend, I'm getting a divorce, he's a, you know. So I think everyone is sabotaging in some way, you know, and it's about this,
Okay, so this project of yours, Terrorists of Romance, in one of the songs you talk about maternity and anxiety. Tell me a little bit about it very briefly.
Well, I think people who overthink, they are mostly bent to have anxiety, so I'm an overthinker. And when I became a mother, you overthink a lot. I mean, double.
You worry too much,
yeah,
right?
Of course, yeah. And so is everything ready? Is, you know, and is he okay? And,
yeah, all right. And so today, what are you going to play?
Detox Me of You.
All right. Detox Me of You, which is about?
It's about two lovers who cannot stay together, basically.
Toxic relationship?
Yeah. So yeah, it's the afterward.
All right, Vanessa, thank you so much for coming here today.
Thank you for having us.
And while Vanessa and her band are getting ready on stage, let's move on to a different topic, which is sports. It's time for One of Us, and today we're meeting an assistant coach and player of Samboyana's rugby club. Johnny Bentley from New Zealand has played in different countries, but it's in Sant Boi de Llobregat where he really feels at home.
Hello, my name's Johnny Bentley. I'm from Wellington in New Zealand, and I've been living in Sant Boi and playing for UX Samboyana for the last year and a half. Yeah, I started playing rugby when I was 6 years old. Rugby is a little bit of a religion in New Zealand. I had an older brother who played rugby, so I grew up going to watch him on Saturday mornings, Saturday afternoons. And when I was old enough, first thing I wanted to do was be able to play. And I've been lucky enough to play ever since and make a career out of it for the last 10 years. You know, my 30s and towards the end of my career, I was looking for a different opportunity. And I was lucky enough to live with a rugby agent who presented me the opportunity to move to Sant Boi and be involved with Samboyana, which is a proud rugby club and a proud rugby town, which is something you don't find all over Catalonia. It just seemed like the right fit at the right time, and I wanted to explore another culture and another language, so yeah, it just worked, and 18 months later here I am enjoying myself. In a very, very basic explanation, in rugby you're split into the forwards and the backs. Some people say the forwards are the big ugly ones and the backs are the smart, intelligent, good-looking ones. So I have a bit of responsibility coaching the backs as well as playing fly half. So sometimes it's tricky to find the balance between player and coach, but I do my best and the boys are pretty supportive. So yeah, it's good, I enjoy it. We train 3 mornings a week with weights in the gym and skill session out on the field with a group of professional and semi-professional local boys as well as some foreign professionals. And then we train normally 3 evenings a week leading up to a game on the weekend where we travel far and wide across Spain for away games. We travel Saturday and play Sundays rather, and then normally our home games here at Balderelu are on a Sunday as well. So it gives us a couple of days for rest and recovery on a Monday and during the week on Wednesday, but there's still little bits to do like analysis and just keeping on top of your stretching, recovery, swimming, those kind of things. My first game for Sant Boi was actually in a lot against Barcelona, which was good fun. But yeah, my first game here at Balderelu, yeah, I remember pretty vividly. We managed we managed to win, which was good, and there was a few people in the crowd with their Sant Boi chant, Sant Boiana chant. So yeah, it was a good experience. I think something that isn't necessarily unique to rugby, but is common wherever you go around the world. I've moved around various places throughout the UK, Japan, and here in Sant Boi. You show up and immediately you have 25 or 30 guys that you have something in common with. You work hard together on the field, and then we enjoy ourselves off the field as well with dinners, or whether it be a couple of beers after the game on a Sunday. And especially one thing I find quite enjoyable is you can go and try and beat the hell out of the opposition for 80 minutes, and then as soon as that final whistle goes, everyone's friends, everyone's mates, everyone socialises. Rugby's a hooligan's game played by gentlemen, something along those lines. But yeah, we leave everything on the field and enjoy each other's company afterwards. The club's celebrating its centenary the season following next, so everybody's pretty excited about that. And yeah, anyone and everyone has given me their version of the past, or their little story about something of the past of the history of Sant Boi. If you go through the club rooms, you can see artwork of past players and jerseys of players from teams in years gone past. So yeah, everybody here, right from the juniors all the way up into the men's, the women's, yeah, they're a little bit crazy about their rugby, which made me feel right at home.
I'm on my way, I'm on the plane, in a sky full of stars. This night is long, but I'm leaving you behind. And in a sense, right or wrong, the border us all along. So let me drink it down, shoot it through my veins, treat your remains out of my brain, out of my beat, that it talks me on you. It talks me of you. You're everything I am not. Got you wide, and I got caught. This night is long, but I'm leaving you behind. And in a sense, right or wrong, it butter us all along. So let me drink it down, shoot it through my veins, treat your remains out of my brain, out of my beat, that it talks me on you. It talks me of you. Never met you in reality, just a P1 now, tangle me out of pain. You got me in all the trouble, and in a sense, right or wrong, made us not belong. What it talks me up, what it talks me up, what it talks me of you. What it talks talks me up, body talks me up, body talks me up, body talks me of you. Body talks me up, body talks me up, body talks me of you. Body talks me up, body talks me up, body talks me up, body talks me of you.
After music with the terrorists of romance, here's a language tip that I truly recommend. You know that even advanced English students sometimes fail to describe simple body movements, but don't worry, here comes a particular gym session with our teachers from International House, Barcelona.
Hi, today we're going to teach you some movements, which we're going to show you. So there are movements that you can do with all of your body, like stand, which is what Tim's doing, and jump, and turn around, and lie down.
Do I have to do that?
No, Tim, not really. It's not what we're teaching today. Okay, so today we're going to revise some typical movements that can apply to different parts of your body, like bends, tilts, swings, rolls, stretches, lifts, things that you do with a warm-up at a gym.
And the good thing is that all of them, the verbs and the nouns, are exactly the same. Okay, so some typical exercises you can do are bends. You can bend your arm. Could you bend your arm, Helen?
I can, yeah. And stretches are very common too. It's about straightening your muscles. So can you stretch your arm, Tim?
Yes, I can. Oh, it feels good. Oh, what about rolls? Can you roll your shoulders?
Yep, like that. And lifts is something we can do too. That is to raise a part of your body. So can you lift up your knee?
Yep, sure. Oh, that's also a bend though, isn't it?
In this case, it is, but you have to bend your knee to lift it up.
Okay. And we also have tilts. So that's when you change the position of something into a sloping position. Could you tilt your head, Helen?
Yeah, a bit like that.
Good.
Okay. And we can also do swings. So why don't you swing your arms?
Swing my arms like this. That's quite good. I think that's everything we've got covered, so let's go over the moves. Bend your arm.
Okay, stretch yours.
Oh. Roll your shoulders.
Okay. Lift your knee.
Oh, at the same time. Oh. Tilt your head.
Oh, like that. Swing your arm.
Swing my arms. Oh, okay.
Okay, I think we've got everything covered there.
Okay, perfect. Oh, I think so.
Okay, so thanks for watching.
We saved the best for last. Don't miss our Guess What About Endings with Patricia Scalona, Mark Broderick, and today's special guest, the comedian Marnie Manning.
Welcome back. You know that every week we enjoy suggesting you a few books that you can get for free at your nearest library. So pay attention to today's recommendations by Salva and Neida from Xarxa de Biblioteques Municipals of the Diputació de Barcelona.
After decades of marriage, Mia's husband asked her for a pause in the relationship. After a major crisis, she moves into her mother's town, where she meets and bonds with women of different types. Her mother, her neighbors, mother's friends, girls in the poetry club. It is a novel about re-examining your life, about sewing your own wounds, and redefining your goals. This novel has a feminine perspective, but it can be of interest for readers of all genres.
I am convinced that experts are going to read White Teeth in some years in the same way that we read Charles Dickens today. Nowadays, we read Our Mutual Friend to understand 19th century society. And in the future, people are going to read Sadie Smith's White Teeth to understand the Britain of the 20th century. The book is about the harmony of the Northern Irish, the Welsh, the Scottish, the English and the migrants who went to Britain before 9/11. Do you think that we can come back to that harmony after the destruction of the Twin Towers? If you think so, this is a book for you. Read all about white teeth, come back and tell me all about it afterwards.
And it's time for our Guess What quiz, where 3 contestants will pit their wits against each other and where you can have some fun and why not maybe even learn a couple of new words. Let's welcome first our quiz master who will test our contestants' knowledge, insight and sense of humor, Sergio Savera. Welcome.
Hi Marcella, thanks for having
Hello.
me. Hi contestants, hi technicians, makeup artists, viewers, waiters, garbage men and all humanity. Today's quiz is going to be about endings. And why? Because all is well that ends well. And at the end of the day, we all like a happy ending, right?
Okay, but first things first, let's introduce our contestants and welcome our special guest today, the comedian Marnie Manning. Welcome, Marnie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Marnie was the best stand-up comic at Barcelona Comedy Festival 2018 and we are happy to have her also in the Giggles. So Marnie, you are from the States, right?
Yes.
Where from in the States?
I'm from Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where Donald Trump thinks that there is the border with Mexico.
Yeah, he thinks a lot of
So
things.
Marnie, how long have you been in Catalonia?
I've been living here for 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
I love
good.
it.
And in 2 years, you managed to find out about the Catalan sense of humor. What do you think about it?
Well, I think you guys have great senses of humor, but you talk a little bit more about the bathroom than I'm used to, yeah.
My friends from the States, they love our concept of the caganet, the teaser. They are impressed about that.
I'll have to meet them.
Okay, also let's say hello to our contestants with never-ending patience. We are talking, of course, about Patricia Escalona and Mark Broderick.
Hi. How's it going? I'm looking forward to the happy ending today.
Oh, and he had to go and say it. He had to go and say it.
Come on.
Couldn't help me.
All right, we start with the multiple choice challenge. Very simple rules, as easy as pie. You will see right now. So, what's our first story? A love and hate story.
Rome, the city, and we don't really have the best relationship. When I went to Rome the first time in my teens, the first day I got there, I got this weird eye infection, so my eyes would like swell up huge. A couple of years later, I went with a cruise ship and I got lost in Rome and then I lost the cruise ship. A couple of months ago, my boyfriend asked me to go to Rome again and I was very hesitant to what would happen this time.
She lost
Well,
the ship.
it seems either she or her boyfriend likes adventure, but how did the story end? I'm gonna give you 3 options and let's see how do you feel about it. Option A, when in Rome, her boyfriend left her for an Italian girl. Very silly he has to be to do that, I have to say. Option B, they were mocked as soon as they arrived in Rome. And option C, everything went perfectly okay.
I don't know about silly. I mean, if the woman is already such a jinx to be around, I think it's quite right for him to leave.
Could happen, who knows?
I'm going to say that.
That, okay. So he left her for an Italian girl. A, Marnie?
I think because they were in Rome, they got mugged.
Okay.
Option B.
Option B.
Sorry.
All right. How do you feel about Mark?
When in Rome, do as the Romans. The Romans love loving women and robbing. So A and B is like a difficult one to separate.
And that's
I'll go
why
with A. I'll go with it. I will go with the robbing as well. The mugging. Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
Well, let's find out what misadventures she had in Rome.
Actually, nothing happened. We had a great time and it was a beautiful weekend.
A happy ending! If you think that I am only after stories of disasters, well, you were right.
Yeah.
But nobody's perfect, and this cheerful lady has
just
a
like
very
this
happy
one.
story. Exactly.
Okay, so 0 points. I'm sorry, nobody has any points
Exactly.
for the moment.
Let's pay attention to our second witness and her story about history.
My dad is a historian. He knows everything there is to know about history, and he sometimes takes us to historical fairs, things like that. A couple of years ago, he took us to a Celtic fair, so we had to wear costumes like Senna, the warrior princess, like.
Okay, who hasn't been to a Celtic fair dressed up as Xena, the warrior princess? Probably Xena. But we're here to find out the ending of this story. Where do you think she ended up? I'm gonna give you 3 options again. Rome. No, just kidding. Option A, she ended up at the horse races dressed up as Xena. Option B, at a medieval restaurant where she was offered a job. And C, at a fancy dress party to make the most of the costume.
Why are you looking at me?
Okay, first of all, what is she doing dressed as Xena in a Celtic festival? That's the first question I have.
That's another story.
Okay, but if she's dressed as Xena the warrior princess, she rode a horse, right? So logic dictates that she was at the horse races.
Horse races, okay.
Oh, God.
I don't get it, but it makes sense explained
In the opening scene, she's on a horse,
In the way
I
you're
believe.
explaining it, I still don't get it, but it's
Whatever,
like,
it makes sense.
It kind of makes sense. It has to make
No,
sense.
it doesn't.
Explain it, please. Go for it.
No,
Let us know
I'm
what's
not
going
going to
on
explain
here.
his Celtic logic to anybody. I mean, it's enough that we have to suffer it every week.
So, what's your never-ending patience, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your logic then?
My logic would
For
be
someone
that she went
dressed
to a
up as
party.
Xena. The dress party.
Yeah.
Okay, the dress party.
The
And
seal.
how about you? What do you think about this madness?
I think she also went to the party, but I think she felt out of place.
So.
Okay, so let's see how the situation ended.
Okay.
Nobody told me, but we were going to a horse race, Ascot-like. So I had to be among all these posh people dressed like Xena, the warrior princess.
Yeah. There you go, Mark was right, and his Celtic logic.
It happened again?
Yeah,
I foresaw the future.
Okay, 1 point for Mark.
1 point for Mark. 1 point for Mark, and lots of love for us after Patricia's explanation, mocking Mark.
Okay.
That ended up talking about endings with a good answer for Mark. Point to Mark.
And question for the 3 of you: what's the most ridiculous situation you've ever been in?
Patricia, right now.
Yeah, keeps happening, this thing. No, I can't think of a ridiculous situation. I'm
I
very
can help
dignified.
you out if you
I'm
want.
very dignified.
How about you, Marnie?
If you ever go to Budapest and meet some Hungarian DJs, tell them I say hi again. So that's all I'll say.
I need to know. I need to know how this story ends. Actually. Mark?
Obviously here on the Weekly Mag, dressed as an elf. That was the cherry on the cake.
I was there, and
Of
yes, I
ridiculousness.
agree with you. That should have been, a top moment.
It was called a low-cost elf, I believe I was referred
Where
to
did
as.
they
From
find
North
an
Korea.
elf costume to fit you?
That's a good question.
All right, let's hear our third and last story.
We were teaching the children to do cupcakes, and I forgot to put the oven on, and the cupcakes went well when the parents arrived, and the children were crying, and the parents were very angry with me. Parents want to have the money back.
Cupcakes are a serious matter, and if you were one of those parents, no doubt you will want your money back, either that or your kid. But how did she react? I'm gonna give you 3 options. Option A. I enjoy doing this quiz, Patricia. I know that this makes you upset, but I just have fun doing it.
I don't know how many bad jokes can I take in
It's
one single
impossible
session.
to count.
I really
impossible to count because I have more. I mean, I still have more. All right. So, option A: she gave up and gave the parents their money back. Option B: she said it had been a joke and gave them cupcakes from the supermarket. And option C: the kids got angry at their parents and she got away with it. What do you feel about it?
I'm going to give another logical answer here.
Please, but explain it.
Okay, she obviously ate a special cupcake before making the actual real cupcakes. Forgot about it completely, and then option number 2 is the answer for sure. She went to the supermarket to pick up extras and just give them out. That would be a logical answer to all of this.
Okay, Marnie?
I also think option 2, because it's cheaper to buy more cupcakes than to give everyone their money back.
Okay, all right.
Cost effective.
There you go.
How about
Option
their logic?
3.
3, but,
Just to say
but do you
something
have an
different.
explanation? You feel really committed to your answer.
To my answer, yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Okay.
Okay, so this is our third ending.
I went to a supermarket to buy cupcakes, and I was like, it was a joke, the cupcakes are made. I feel very guilty for that because I lied to the parents.
Okay.
At least she kept it a secret.
Business is business, and we only hope that they paid her more money than the money that she had. She spent on the cupcakes, actually.
Okay, so 2 points for Mark, right?
Exactly, 2 points for Mark. Job
And
well done.
1 point for Marnie.
Job well done
No
as well.
points for Patricia for the moment.
Job terribly done.
I know.
Okay, so have you ever cooked a dish or a cake that didn't exactly meet the expectations?
Many of them. Of course, that's how you learn, right?
I probably do that every day, but I've never learned anything, so I'm really doing it wrong.
I never make a mistake when I bake.
Ooh.
Because I've
We
never
need
baked.
to try this.
Because he never baked.
Because he never baked, exactly. That's,
No mistakes made.
Okay, I just
yeah.
I just got caught. Okay, guys, that was just a warm up. Now the true quiz begins. Brace yourself for the speed challenge. Every right answer is worth 2 points, and you have to use the devices in front of you. But remember that if you get it wrong, you give your competitors the chance to answer.
And today we are after films, series, plays and books with endings that impressed us. We give you a clue about the ending and you have to tell us to which story it belongs.
Oh, God.
Boom.
Okay, the first one. Ready? So Brad Pitt finds out what is in the box.
7.
That's
Yes,
right. Point to you.
well done.
Okay, all right. This psychologist was dead all along. Patricia.
Come on, you can do it.
Huh? You're there. 3, 2, 1.
Shit.
Mark.
Sixth Sense?
That's right. Point to you. The Sixth Sense.
Sorry.
Bruce Willis.
Give me that. Now, you fucking hammer.
A Shakespearean romance that ends in the worst possible way.
Patricia.
Shakespeare in Love?
That's incorrect.
The name of the play?
Oh, the name of the play.
3, 2, 1. Mark.
Romeo and Juliet?
Yes, well done.
Point to Mark.
Of course they all die,
Okay,
right?
No.
I don't know.
Here I go. Exactly.
I
You
don't
are really
know that.
really fun.
I don't know.
Okay, just check it out, just to make sure that it
That
works.
it's working. It's not
Exactly,
just
it's working.
meeting done.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's
The
working.
idea is to
Okay,
keep
that's
your
not the
hand
problem.
over it. It's going to be a lot faster. There
All
you
right,
go. There you
here
go.
I go, guys. This character says, "You blew it up. Oh, damn you! God damn you all to hell!" My performance was amazing.
Sorry, you blew it up. Go to hell, go to hell,
That's
go to hell.
what it says. Mark?
Terminator. I don't know.
Absolutely not.
I don't know, he blew it up. I don't know. It's
Very
the only
well.
one I could think
I
of.
did. Okay, the Statue of Liberty involved? No one? Okay, here it goes. Time's up. Planet of the Apes. Charlton Heston at the end of the movie. I did it very well. I have to
Yes,
repeat
you have
that.
said.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you, Marcella.
You're welcome. They end up singing in a flying car.
Morning.
Grease.
That's
Yes,
correct.
Well done.
Finally, exactly. There wasn't enough room for 2 on that floating morning.
Titanic.
Titanic, point to you. Job well done.
Okay, Rosebud ends up in flames.
Oh,
Patricia.
Citizen Kane.
Yes.
Citizen Kane,
Well done.
point to you. Job well done. Here we go. I think this is the beginning of a beautiful Patricia.
Casablanca.
Of a beautiful Patricia. Casablanca, that's right. Point to you.
Trying to fix it with flattery.
That's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Works every time.
These two outlaws met their fate together.
Marnie?
Bonnie and Clyde.
That's not correct. Mark?
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance
Yes.
Point to you.
well done.
Job well done. He said he could have saved one more life. What was is that?
That was like a very
something?
pathetic
Was it?
bang.
Exactly.
I've forgotten the question now. Sorry, what? That was so pathetic.
Impressive.
What was
Point
it?
to you.
Sorry.
That was no, just
No,
kidding.
no, just
He
repeat, sorry.
said he could have saved one more life.
Oh man, Batman? I don't know.
Absolutely
This one I had no
not.
idea. I don't know.
No, that's
I had
not
no idea.
a Batman's
Come on, you
quote.
know it.
I don't
No?
know. I don't know.
3, 2,
Superman?
One? No!
It's not a superhero
My
thing.
tone was kind of charming. It wasn't a superhero
A
tone.
historical film.
Marnie?
Is it Schindler's List?
Yes.
No.
It is.
That's
Very
correct.
nice.
Well
Marnie,
done.
well done.
Thank you.
Point to you.
Okay, Jack Shepherd closes his eyes.
I know this one, and I
I
can't
know this
remember.
one.
Jack Shepherd closes his
3,
eyes.
2,
Jack Shepherd.
To be serious.
Jack Shepherd.
Patricia.
Sorry. No, 24?
Madman?
A very famous TV
No
series, I would
and
say.
no. Lost. Like you guys. You were lost. Okay, here I go. Always
Lost,
look
of
on
course,
the
it's
bright side of life.
Life of Brian.
Life of Brian. Yeah, you
I was
found
adding a little
yourself.
beat.
You
The
found
pathetic
yourself.
beat.
That's
Okay,
right.
and the last one, they were all dead, and it's not lost.
Justin. Mark? He's lost
The
again.
Others.
The
Yes.
Others. Well
Okay,
done.
excellent.
Excellent,
Well
man.
done.
Let's.
It's been difficult, Marnie?
Yeah, the bell really threw me off. That's okay.
Okay, so let's go over the score. It's very, very exciting, guys, because Mark is leading with 14 points.
That's just ridiculous.
Right after is our special guest, Marnie, with 7 points. And, well, there is Patricia with 4 points.
Anyway, Patricia, let's start with you. The best or worst film ending that you can remember? Right?
The Sopranos. I didn't like the ending of The Sopranos.
The dreaming thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Marnie?
There's a movie called Children of Men, and after everyone else thought it was a good ending, but I was very upset.
That's with Clive Owen.
Yeah.
Couldn't
Or one
tell
of
you.
those, no? I don't know.
They get on a boat and into the fog.
And how about you, Mark?
I don't know, the worst endings, there's been lots. The best ending, always I think I said it before, The Usual Suspects for me was
that's a very
wow,
good
it's
ending.
fantastic. It was like, oh my God, I didn't see that one coming at all.
Okay. Works for me.
Okay, so everything will be decided in the final round, but before, let's have a look at a bit of stand-up comedy with the giggles.
I'm thinking of becoming a vegan, but I'm having my doubts. I have a vegan friend. She met me at a bar yesterday. She walked into the bar and her bones shattered instantly from lack of calcium. She said she takes B9 every day. I said, I prefer the night bus.
You know you can watch all the beats of stand-up comedy with Luke Maginsky and our guest Marnie, Manning, and the rest of the giggles on our website.
And now it's time for the last round. Questions about endings. 3 points for every right answer. Same rules.
Okay, so
Here we
Use
go.
these again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, just keep your hand hovered about 1 centimeter
Exactly.
above it.
Get
there you
closer
go. There you
to
go.
the.
There you go.
The bell is very picky, so you have to be very close to it.
We'll get to know each other.
Exactly. That's
So, the first question is, where does the legendary Route 66 end?
Patricia.
In California.
More
Where in
specifically?
In
California?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Yes,
That's right.
well
That
done.
is a very shy ringing the bell. You kind of.
Maybe I
It was a
wasn't
timid
confident in my
bet. It was a
answer.
timid.
That's
yeah.
right, Santa Monica, Los Angeles. Get your kicks on Route 66, and as the song says, it winds from Chicago to LA.
Second one, who was blamed for the breakup of the Beatles?
Patricia.
Yoko Ono.
That's correct,
well done.
Yoko Ono, or at least
Exactly.
that's the most popular version.
And
The third
misogynistic one too.
Probably.
I might say.
It was written here.
What's your version?
My version, so they grow bored of each other probably and lack of creativity, basically at the end.
Okay.
Okay.
We will let them know.
Okay, third one. What day of the week does New Year's Eve fall on this year?
Mark.
Tuesday.
That is
That's
correct. Correct.
You're counting.
Because I'm a teacher. I know every
knows
single
perfectly-
day, of course.
exactly, when he
I'm a
has
teacher.
holidays.
Yeah, when he has vacation.
Exactly.
When he has
I know exactly the dates I have
Yeah.
vacation. So.
Which are the two football teams that played at the Champions League final this year?
Tottenham Hotspurs FC versus Liverpool FC.
That is correct. Impressive.
Well done.
Okay, vacations and soccer.
Yeah.
I see.
If we had one of soccer, I think I would win. That's for
Okay,
sure.
number 5. How did Joseph Guillotin die? Is that funny?
I like your reaction. I just liked it. Mark?
He swallowed his tongue.
No.
That is not correct.
No. By the guillotine?
That is not correct. And your
he's
laughter
French,
brings
no?
you an
Not because
answer?
the name of
Natural causes.
Natural causes. Well, I guess natural causes
Well,
is
it's
correct.
true. Yes,
it's correct.
exactly.
He died in his bed. He neither died in the guillotine nor invented it, although he did suggest its use for death penalty. So, point to you. That's
Well done.
correct.
Well done.
I'm a teacher.
Hey, he could have swallowed his tongue as well. Come on, let's not kid
That's
ourselves.
not natural
Let's
cause.
not kid ourselves.
That's more of an accident, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't that. She was more specific.
It's a
Yeah,
joke, yes.
I know.
Well, she used her common sense, I think, right?
Okay, so things are very exciting actually. And
Let's see the score.
Wow.
Very interesting.
Okay, Mark is leading with 20 points, which makes him kind of the winner for today, but we'll see about the final score because Morny is right after with 10 points and Patricia is also right after with 10 points. They both, oh no, hold on. It can be an even because if you get the wrong answer and one of them gets the right answer, you could lose your winning position.
I could.
So this is
Or an
getting
even.
very interesting.
Last but not least, there is only one question left. As always, our last question is worth not 3 but 5 points. That is, whoever gets it right. But if you get it wrong, you will lose 5 points. So here we go.
So this is the final question. In what city does the Trans-Siberian Railway end if you go east?
If you go east.
Exactly.
Vladivostok.
Yes.
That's correct. Impressive.
Well,
You
Mark,
are the official winner.
Congratulations,
Yeah,
Mark. That was the correct answer. Exactly.
I'm sorry, I know a lot about endings, okay? I know a lot about endings. What can I say?
The Trans-Siberian Railroad train lasts 1 whole week. A true joy if you travel with children. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Need to go to the bathroom.
Well, Mark is our winner today. Congratulations, Mark. And as an award, we've got an award for you.
We've got an award for you.
That is asking you to tell us a joke.
That's your award. So you have 25 points?
Okay.
I mean,
this is going to be a really
which
bad
better
joke,
ending?
okay? But
This is the best
maybe
possible ending.
I'm going to try and make Patricia laugh.
Exactly.
Okay?
It could be worse. You could be dressed up as an elf. So go for it.
Marcella, I'll direct it to you. Marcella, have you heard about the restaurant on the moon?
If I heard about the
Have you
restaurant?
heard about the restaurant on the moon?
3 points at stake,
Come on,
Marcel.
come on.
Yes,
We
no?
haven't. We have
No,
not.
I haven't.
Great food, no atmosphere.
That was great. That was
Okay, that was hilarious, right?
That was hilarious. Yeah. We didn't want you to struggle with this
Okay.
final situation
Thank
as
you.
a stand-up, as
I
a professional
Not
stand-up
bad.
comedian.
I mean, come on, yeah.
That was
You
so
made
good.
up. He made up.
Exactly, yeah. I think
we
that
laughed.
was a pretty
We laughed.
pretty decent joke. Anyway, Marnie, I hope you enjoyed the show today.
I did. Thanks so much.
Do you have any projects at the moment?
I do a lot of shows during the weeks here in Barcelona, and I sorry to be this person, but I always post them on my Instagram, and that's at Marnimal, and I do them sporadically.
Be that person.
I'm that person.
We want to watch
Marnimal,
it.
what's up?
Let's join. I mean, let's go and
the
watch
shows
it.
are usually free, and they're always really fun.
Let's
and
go,
there's beer.
guys, for free.
There's beer. And there's beer.
Laugh for free.
Yeah.
Excellent. Sounds good. Thank you, Marnie, so much.
Thank
it was
you,
a
guys.
pleasure to have you here today. And as always, thank you, Patricia and Mark. Until next
No problem.
time. And the Weekly Mega ends here today. We've had some fun and practiced some English catch up with all our episodes online. We'll be back next week, but until then, you can follow us on the social networks and post the solution to this week's guess word puzzle by Màrius Serra, which is you've got them on hand to board some planes. That's 7 letters. Until then, stay tuned, keep up your English, and have a fantastic week. Bye-bye.